It's on here under new business. I just didn't find it, I wrote it on that. So I'm
Okay.
gonna cover it right
Okay.
after this, okay?
All right, well, I didn't want to,
I really didn't have time last week.
You sure didn't.
see what,
I was prepared though.
Yes, so, after we met last, the next day, I was putting the agenda together, talking with Karen. She asked me if she should contact Mr. Thornton, and I said if it was all right with Carolyn being our representative for selectmen, it was fine with me. So she did. And we have that response, I'm assuming everyone read it? Okay, and I've gone through the report. Do we have any comments on that?
I would just like to point out that in the report on page 11, that he makes a statement to the effect,
You're talking about the original
the original report, that, there are two components of increases for salaries. One is market and one is merit. And that his report covers merit. And the market is the cost of living.
Any further continued under merit pay, the last sentence, the major disconnect is between wage increases and what's happening with cost of living.
Ellen, where does it say that market is equal to cost of living?
It says this amount
I
would
missed it.
include any merit, market, and cost of living adjustments.
Okay, merit, market is a separate concept, and
And
cost.
I think market and cost of living are
Yeah, because it says
intertwined.
market
I
and
don't
cost of
see
living.
how you can separate them.
But nonetheless, if we read his response to us, he says the forecast is a snapshot in time and represents what employers are planning for wage increases in the immediate future. The next paragraph, he says increases are generally two-part in nature. Market, which is representative of cost of living increase for a point in time, and merit, which is how the employee influences their pay beyond market movement. So he makes it perfectly clear that the Thornton report was really based on merit, whereas cost of living wasn't included, is the way I'm reading it.
I agree. Merit solely. I think that his response, to answer your question, Madam Chair,
Yes.
I was disappointed in his response. I'll try and dial that up here. I don't, as we begin, and I'm not, Bob, please, I'm not gonna go back and revisit the inequity in this. And we all know, if you've taken a look at the cities and towns involved, that 2/3 of those towns selected by the selectmen have household income greater than Tuftonboro. They also take into consideration, no consideration about time, about being a rural town versus a town of Meredith and a city town. So I'm not gonna get into that.
I'll take exception to your comment.
I want to, please.
Oh, wait a
I'd like
minute,
to
now I
continue.
No, you.
Tyler, I let you speak, now Bob.
I'm taking exception to what you're saying because you don't know the variables, you don't know what adjustments were made in that, and I don't see how you can make that
Excuse me,
comment.
I would like to respond because I asked Thornton to his face, I said to him, did you weight the fact that these other towns were grossly higher than Tuftonboro's
Okay,
household
First of all,
income? And he said, no, he did not.
Don't yell at me
Gentlemen.
and point at me.
I'm not-
Okay? I'm just disagreeing with you. I think you're wrong, and I have that option to do that,
okay.
period.
And
I
now,
just want to clarify what was
You
fact.
know, but don't clarify
Tyler, you've
me.
clarified, Bob's clarified. Do I have anything else on this issue? Because we could beat it to death, and we have
Absolutely.
been for a couple
We
of
do
years.
it all the time.
John,
So, I didn't read the entire 45 pages, but I went over what Steve had said. In the way that I read that last comment about the merit, because if you read the steps and if you do the math, each step goes up about 2%. So, I would agree that I think that the steps go with the merits, and then it said alternatively you could raise it for the cost of living, but the cost of living is you raise the entire step system. So if you wanted to say, you go up steps every year, and then if you say there's a cost of living adjustment, you have to do it to the entire, every single step gets
Yeah.
a cost of living. So you don't just say 1 year, it's gonna be 1.5%,
Mhm.
next year it's the entire, so once we do this 1.5%, you have to say every single step is now getting, so next year it's 1.5%, every step is 1.5% higher. So if you do it again, you're already higher. So you're
that's
raising the entire,
Helen,
I don't think you do it every year.
My understanding of cost of living is that it's revisited every year based on, largely based on, the CPI.
Yeah, and I would agree, but I think that that goes against what, I think that if you were gonna do it that way, you do it like a merit and a cost of living every year, or you run by this step system, and you do a cost of living to not keep it stagnant. And that's what it said, it said to not keep it, so that at some point you have to say, we've gone a couple of years, we need to adjust everything. But you don't do it every year, was my understanding.
so you're saying you don't do a cost of living every year?
That's what yeah, because the steps, it's all built into that, and then once you get to a certain step, if you say, well, now, the pay is too low, so you adjust the entire board by 2%, 3%, 1%, whatever it is.
Helen?
I'm sorry, that's not my understanding, and that's not the
No,
understanding.
that's what it read in the thing.
Well, that's, and I didn't read it that way. I read that merit was one thing and cost of living was separate, and the cost of living was revisited every year.
But, excuse me, you're all arguing off of a false base. I took 3 years in New York City studying research. And if you take a look at those, at page 30, take a look at those towns. I've looked them up. I looked at their household income. There are, out of the 15 towns, 10 of them exceed, strictly on cost basis, not even getting into whether there's a metropolitan. They've got a city of Franklin in here, for God's sake. Why were these false, why was this a false model? Why was this selected as a false model?
Tyler, and I'm going to find it for you, there was something in here in the report, and I just read it again within the last couple of days, why they chose the towns that they chose. They didn't choose towns that only look like Tuftonboro. How could you compare and contrast if you were only looking at Tuftonboro?
Well, I think I could. I can't imagine that's so difficult,
Because-
because they have, if you take a look at the American Community Survey, which is what this is based on, you can go down for 160 towns. You can easily put the towns that are correct for us in terms of
But that's
household,
assuming-
household income, size, and scope.
That's assuming that the towns that you're comparing us to are doing it properly.
No, it's not. It's household income. It's household, we're just talking about strictly household income at this stage of the game, not how they're spending their money.
Median income, per capita income,
Yes,
this is
household
something
income.
Steve and I go round and round about. We don't even have a good handle on what it is for Tuftonboro.
We sure do. They do. They do. Tuftonboro is 136 out of all the towns surveyed. You didn't look deep enough.
I did too, Tyler,
130
don't be rude
Excuse
tonight.
me, I'm not being rude,
Yes,
but
you are.
I'm telling you what you don't know.
How
And
do
you
you
don't
know what
that
I
that's-
don't
that-
know?
Well, I can tell you exactly what the towns are. And I can tell you what, Tuftonboro is $61,000. What is your number?
Do you want me to look it up?
Sure, why
Well, for
not?
heaven's sakes, Tyler, you take great joy in humiliating people
I'm
at this
asking
table.
a question.
You're
I'm-
rude.
you
You're
don't-
rude.
You're
Stop.
afraid of the facts, obviously.
I need to stop.
We made, we've hashed this over
Oh,
over and over and over. Tyler, you can use those figures any way you want, and you can make them work any way you
They're
want.
public figures.
And you constantly are bringing it up. The report is there, the report was accepted, and the report was put into effect. And that's what we're living with. And we can argue this forever and say it's wrong, it's the worst report I've ever seen, I don't know how. And yet again, nobody has any concept of the variables that they use. Nobody has that. They're the professional firm that put this together. Okay, you're saying that they're not a professional firm.
No,
I don't,
no, no,
oh,
I'm
yes,
saying-
you are. You're
I'm saying
saying that
somebody
they
provided
use.
them, somebody
Some-
provided them with towns
Yep.
that are not accurate.
And you're telling, no, you're saying that they
Is Franklin
purposely
right for
use
us?
those.
Is Franklin compared it to us?
It depends on how it was adjusted in their report.
There that's
You
my
don't know.
point. There was
Okay,
no waiting.
gentlemen.
There was no waiting.
I'm
This-
sick and
I
tired
am
of
gonna-
wasting time
I'm gonna
on this
close-
report.
You're afraid of the facts.
No, I'm not.
Tyler and Bob, everyone at the table, I'm gonna shut down this conversation on the Thornton report unless someone has something valuable they think they can contribute. Because you have hashed this over since I've been on this committee. That's all that was talked about. I wanna know why the budget committee insisted you have this and you don't like the result, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
May
But
I
as new budget committee members, respecting what the Board of Selectmen have decided to do to adopt this practice, we must move forward. This
Would you
is
like
not
an answer
our
to your
job.
question,
I
ma'am?
didn't ask you a question.
Yes, you did. You asked why. I'll tell you why. This
I've
was
heard it.
I'm sorry, but you don't pay attention.
Tyler,
The fact
That's
is,
Knock
enough.
it off. I'm sick and tired of
Don't
these
be rude.
personal attacks, and we gotta stop it. If you can't discuss it without getting into personalities, then you shouldn't say anything.
do you have a problem with the facts?
No, I don't have a problem.
Tyler.
I do have a problem with the delivery.
All right.
we're gonna move on. Does anyone have anything else they want to add about the correspondence from Thornton?
Yes, I do. I think he says in vague reference to other towns, he doesn't mention the other towns in his correspondence. The other towns are raising 3%. That's on the, is he taking the executive level or is he taking the intermediate levels?
Tyler,
Did
we're
you
gonna
read the
move
letter?
on. I read the letter.
Okay,
I asked for the letter.
good.
Steve?
I would like us to think a little bit about, and just use some common sense here, when he's talking about the market. We have two perfect examples sitting here in the room, Clay and Karen, both of whom came from somewhere other than another town. So this Thornton stuff, in deference to what you've just talked about, doesn't even consider the private sector. All it's considering is other towns. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Every town gets at some numbers, they look at what other towns pay, they ignore the people, the market from where talent is available, which in these two cases, we got excellent people, they weren't town employees from somewhere else. I don't know what Clay was,
What difference does that make?
Carolyn, we're back to the report again. Can we please move on? It
It's
is,
embarrassing.
it's not embarrassing, Tyler. You asked for a report, we've got a report, we have implemented it, you wanted us to have a process, the committee wanted a process, we now have a process. We have found out for you that we can, Merit and COLA, what the selectmen approved is right in line with what I am seeing in your labor recruitment market. Why can't you accept this and we move on from there
John
and
is
we look at
next.
the budgets?
May I ask a question?
John is
I
next.
just have one question or clarification. So, because we have the steps, and then we have the selectmen asking for a merit, and then we have a cost of living. So, are we doing, does everybody move up a step every year? Or do we
With
just
a
do the
satisfactory
merit?
appraisal.
So would that be the merit?
Yes, that's the merit.
Okay, so the 2% really isn't 2%, it's just everybody moves up. And I think that 2% is just a general, because when you do the math and the steps, it's 2%, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Okay, so we're just really asking for everybody's gonna go up a step, we're asking for the 1.5. Okay, so we're
Right.
clear. Okay, so it's not three separate things. The 2% is
No.
really just a
Yeah.
step. Everyone's moving up a step.
Right.
With satisfactory
With- yeah.
performance.
Okay.
Tyler, did you have one more?
Continue.
All right. If no one else has anything else, anyone at the table here, Steve?
I'll defer.
John, Tyler, Helen, Bob,
Oh,
Carolyn?
Yes, one more question. Are we gonna vote on this stuff tonight, or are we still?
We have to get voting on things,
That's,
yeah. One of the things I know that Steve wanted was, he was hoping we'd be done at Thanksgiving this year. Not gonna happen, I don't think.
The only other thought that I have is that all this conversation isn't really responsive to my concern that we have people in town for the last 2 years that were on Social Security, they got 0 increase. So we continue to increase the cost to taxpayers, even though their income isn't keeping pace with the increased cost.
And that's why I went ahead, I wanted to see how many people are we talking about that would fall into that category. I also wanted to look at who are our taxpayers. And the office was good enough to run all of the names and the properties, the parcels, waterfront and island property. I went through and I looked at all of it. That is where so much of our money comes from. And for instance, even our waterfront properties, this isn't island properties, out of 695 waterfront properties, do you know that 459 of them are owned from people out of state? They pay taxes here.
Okay, but I'm
But
not so
that's-
concerned, since we've already established that the people that have waterfront property aren't entitled to a vote on anything anyway.
It's their choice of property.
I'm mainly concerned with the people who live here.
And
Yeah,
and
but
it's a quality of life for everyone that lives in
well,
this.
I'm one of those people that have, Social Security isn't taken care of. And I have an option of, if I don't wanna live here, I don't have to live here.
We
And
s-
if I don't like the tax structure, I can go to another town. I choose to live here. I don't let somebody else make that decision for me.
in this-
I think I'm intelligent enough to figure out where my best options are relative to my quality of life, what I have, my assets that are here, whatever it might be. And what the government does to me, I wished I didn't have to have, that I was drafted, but the government told me that that's where I had to go.
Okay,
And if they're
Helen
not
and
gonna
then
give me a
Carolyn.
raise,
Helen,
I would just like to point out that one of the rallying cries in this election is, let's turn back the clock to a time when everyone earned a living wage. And I want to make sure that our town employees are making a living wage. I don't want to see them have to be under what the living wage is, just because Social Security isn't keeping up with things.
we've got Carolyn next.
I received a list, somebody pulled this off our New Hampshire website of tax rates for 2015. Tuftonboro has the 10th lowest tax rate at $10.39. The highest tax rate is, where was it? 41.47. We are very low in our taxes. We are very fiscally responsible in this town. But we also think that our employees deserve a living wage.
Steve,
I know that living wage business is a particular party, but please explain to me what a living wage is.
It's a living
It's
wage is
It
being
depends on your
able-
perspective, right?
Well, of course it depends on your
Okay.
perspective, but
Just
if you can afford to have a household, buy groceries, and live at a medium level, then it's a living wage.
What number would that be?
I don't have a number.
Well, we're talking about it as if there's a number there, so what is it?
No, there is not a number there. It's a-
it has to
Depends
be
where you
according to your education, your experience. We have some very qualified employees, and we're very fortunate to have our employees. I don't think this town could operate without the employees that we have. So if you want to make cuts, which one of our employees would you let go?
how do we get from A to Z here?
I didn't, like,
Who said anything about cuts of employees?
Well, if you wanna keep cutting, who's gonna leave? If we're not gonna provide the benefits, if we're not gonna provide the living wage, they will leave. Who would you like to see leave? Tyler?
I have two observations. One is that we are probably overdue for a re-up by an independent firm. MRI, I believe, was also made a presentation. But having an independent firm take a look at comparative, real-town comparative wages. The second thing is, if you take a look at your next Social Security check, the federal government says there has been no increase in the cost of living. There's been nothing. And because the rates have been kept so low by federal, the federal, whatever it is, the thing is where you don't pay anything at all, basically there has been no inflation. There has been no increase in the matter of cost of living. And the fact is, if that's the case, if the federal government feels that way, and evidently that's what seems to be running true, then why are we adding to the merit increase of 2%? Why are we adding an extra amount when there is no cause for that? I'm open. I don't know.
I can't see where you think there isn't a cost
Well,
of
where do you see
living
it?
increase.
Give me a number.
Here's the problem I have with, first of all, how the government handles Social Security. It's measured by CPI. We talked about that last time. It doesn't address rural areas, and it's
It
a
doesn't?
random small sampling. No, CPI is a snapshot of
Urban areas.
strictly urban
And
areas.
38 categories.
Mhm.
All right,
Okay.
and you, and your daily, cost of living, you probably play with a lot more than 38 different units, in terms of what, if you go to the, I guess, do you go to the grocery store or to the possibility of lumber or some of the other articles that have gone, you know, that are way up in cost? If you require that.
I'm sure they're in the
If you
calculation.
require
They
that
are.
for your lifestyle, then, you know.
Is there a better figure?
Helen,
Do you know about a bigger figure? Because he doesn't cite anything in here. He says, you know, merit budget forecast, this is what Thornton has responded to, and he doesn't give any specifics at all about
Tyler,
us.
if you're uncomfortable with it, I'd suggest that you email Thornton and get the answers to your questions. I know I'm satisfied, I don't know who else is satisfied, but I would encourage any member of this committee to email him.
Well, it's a little late.
Helen,
I was just going to point out for Tyler that per the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the CPI for New England was, over the last year, was between 1.1 and 1.3%.
New England, that's not us.
We're
We're
not New England.
Of course, but we're not we're not taking into
it-
consideration Brockton and Boston and
Well, it doesn't,
Hanover and all those
break
other
it
you can't
towns?
down.
have it both ways
no,
though. You
no,
can't
no.
say no,
No,
it's
you can't,
this,
you can't.
yes it is.
You can't deal with gross figures.
Okay,
He doesn't like the numbers.
No, I don't like the intelligence. The intelligence should be
Okay.
something that's specific to us.
we're gonna
That's
move
as
on.
close as we're gonna get.
It is as
I
close
was
as
just,
we're.
John. I was just gonna say, so I guess I'm happy to peg inflation to CPI or whatever we end up doing. But at the same time, I guess if we run into a year, maybe there's deflation or something, would you vote for, if we were decreasing, if there was a 1% decrease, would you be voting for a decrease? So we
Well,
have to consider
You
that.
know when the last time we had a
Probably
deflation?
never, but I'm just
No,
saying,
it was
would you vote for it?
1939 was the only year that this country's ever reported deflation.
I'm just saying, if we're pegging it to something, and I'm
I
happy to
think
do it, if it's
everybody
pegged to
has to
something,
give it that.
but there has to be both sides.
If
So
our country's in that much trouble, everybody would have to
so we
give.
just have to pick something and peg it to it, and that's what we gotta stick with.
Okay,
Okay.
think this horse is dead now.
Mhm.
So,
And can we make it dead for a couple of more years?
I would like to make it dead until I no longer am sitting in this
Yeah.
chair.
I mean,
But Tyler, one other thing, how much, first of all, did we pay for this report, Carolyn?
Oh, I don't remember.
was
It's about $7,000,
7, 8.
Yeah, right, that's right.
About $7,000 or $8,000. So for us to spend $7,000 or $8,000 of taxpayer money to get someone else's opinion just because some people don't like it doesn't ring true. But I will say, as of November, there is a website that you'll be able to go to, and things will be fairly easy. If you want to copy this down.
No.
Okay. It will be comparing all towns.
Did you look to see if it's up yet?
I have not. I have not looked to see if it's up yet, but I was told that it was going to be up in November for the next conference. So that will be a source for us to look at next time around. Okay, I'm going to move on then and talk about, let's have a new business Board of Selectmen report. Do you have anything to report, Carolyn?
I don't think so.
Okay, you're going to meet next on the 8th.
Yes.
Do you know when Adam will be bringing his?
On the 8th.
On the 8th? Okay, good.
We'll have two budgets and.
Okay, okay, so we would
Several
still be
others.
able to meet then on the 15th with budgets to
Mhm.
review. Okay. Helen, do you have a CIP report for us?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
I would like to report that the capital capacity for 2017 is actually $819,000, not the 797 that I reported. I looked at the wrong year. Sorry
Okay.
about that. It's only a $22,000
Is this a
difference.
rounding error?
It's in the margin of error. The statistical margin of error. It's only a $22,000 difference, so it's not materially gonna change what I had to say at that
Okay.
time. Our last meeting was, on the 19th of October. And at that meeting, Chief Chiguri came and, what he asked for 2017 was a capital reserve of $200,000 against their new building, which we probably will not approve at that level, but that was his request. He had some requests for later years, but, those will get addressed later. And then Jim Bean also came, and he, for 2017, asked as usual for his $235,000 for road paving and repair. In addition, he's asking for a $13,000 air filtration system, which makes sense. It's similar to the one that the fire department put into the
Melvin.
Melvin building.
That's the one that's in the roof that pulls it out?
Yeah. But this is so that in the winter, when they have to start up their trucks indoors, that it takes out the bad air.
Exhausted.
Our next meeting is gonna be November 9th at 6:30 PM here at the town offices, and you're all welcome to attend. We missed you at the last meeting.
Oh, I wrote it down, I didn't, sorry.
It was a good meeting. I was
You know, everything's happening so fast.
Okay.
You're,
Sorry.
well, the next meeting is the 9th, and you're welcome to attend.
Okay. Let's move on then to budget reviews and start with the library.
Excuse me, Madam Chairman. Madam Chairman.
That is, yes,
4550.
Since Clay is here, would you rather start with his?
oh, that's a great suggestion. Let's start with Clay, in case anybody has any questions.
4324.
Yes. Clay, why don't you come on up to the table?
Clay, I have a question. I think you made point quite clearly that you're not getting an awful lot back on C&D disposal, is that right?
Well, yeah.
And is that subject to review for increasing your fees?
The Board of Selectmen and Clay decide that, that's
I
not for
understand
us.
that, I'm asking him.
But it was already discussed.
Well,
I'm asking him.
But it was discussed that it wouldn't be a topic for this table, that it is between Clay and the Board
Well,
of
has
Selectmen.
that happened?
no.
I may possibly ask a question.
Yeah, we meet,
Tuesday.
on Tuesday,
I see.
so,
Thank you.
but, yes, that is on the discussion.
Does anyone else have any questions for Clay in regards to the budget in your hand?
This is the one dated 10/19.
Yes.
In reference to that question, can I just make one, I didn't bring it out when we talked about it, I brought it out at the end of the meeting, last meeting, and our budget still is independent of what we charge for CD. We have to budget for the cost of getting rid of it, so it's, what we collect is irrelevant for this budget talk.
Thank you, Clay.
Yeah, it's on the revenue side.
Okay.
Helen?
This is not a question, I just have an observation that the payroll for Clay's area is up 5.4% over last year's budget. And overall, his budget is up 8.8% over last year's budget.
Okay. Anyone else?
I assume that this is because of the effect of rates that you have to, that we sell to.
Correct,
Corrugated,
right.
Glass.
Well, the cost we pay to get rid of stuff.
Right.
It's just like the electronics I told you. In the beginning of the year last year, we were charged $725 a container.
Mhm.
By halfway through the year, it was $1,075. So their charges, and virtually that's across the board on all
Yeah.
of the products.
Are there areas that you feel you might cut back on?
Let's see. NRA, because I've gone away from them a little bit, I've cut down $500 on them.
Right.
And I've applied that to other areas, that it is, cost has gone up a little bit. That's the only, the NRA and the Island Cleanup Day, I got away with a little bit more on Island Cleanup Day. Those are the only two areas that have gone down. Most of the areas have stayed the same. The up arrows are the ones that I have on the chart here.
Are these salaries inclusive of the 1.5%?
Correct.
They are?
Correct.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about the salaries.
The
There's
salary,
4.6% increase?
no. There's the 3.5% increase in the salary. On the chart that I have here,
Oh, on our
Okay.
budget, okay.
all right, the hourly pay
Mhm.
is 3.5% increase, 1.5% COLA, and 2% merit, if they deserve the merit. And I have determined that each of one of our guys has deserved the merit raise. So it's a 3.5% to the hourly wage, and I can give you the 2016 hourly rate for each person, and what the 2017 hourly rate will be for them, and it's 3.5.
I see, sorry, so it's 4.6 over last year's budget.
It's, yes, the reason that is because I had to go up on a few additional hours. Because there wasn't enough hours computed in that total to offset vacation days, training days, etc. I have 3 per diem guys now. Historically, in the last 2 years, we've we've been about 101%. You know, a little bit over the line, and that's come from the baler breaks down. We can't have it worked on when the public is in there, so somebody has to go out and supervise the people working on the machines and make decisions about how it's fixed. So, in essence, and I don't know if you got this paper, but this has it all broken down, and it's got the reasons for the additional hours are all underneath the chart. Okay, and that goes from the training, NRA conference, which is 10 hours per person, and travel time, certification, mileage, meetings, Board of Selectmen meetings, Budget Committee, CIP, household hazardous waste, et cetera, et cetera. Loading trucks on off days, maintenance on off days, replacement for days off, paperwork, preparation requirements, non-planned projected meetings, and snow removal. We don't use this, we try to stay on schedule on snow removal unless it's a really, really bad storm. And then I bring them in and roll.
I have a question, Clay. You made reference last time you were in that this proposed budget is the same as it was when you came on, or close to it?
It's pretty close to it, yeah. It's, I don't
How
know
long ago
exactly.
was that?
That was 2010. I don't know exactly, but
But
we
close.
pared down from, if I was to use approximations, it was approximately 320,000. We pared down to 268,000 was the lowest we got, and we're back up now to to roughly the same as it was when I came on.
And those
And the
increases?
majority of that increase is due to construction debris and solid waste.
Yeah.
And electronics.
Yeah.
Electronics is a biggie, and construction debris.
Okay.
That, I have no control over that.
How sanguine are you to raising the C&D so that we start to retrieve some of the costs of this business?
Well, I was a little bit off when I gave you that number, because when I went back afterwards, and again, this is a discussion we're gonna have.
Yes,
But I did not include, we have different categories on our tickets. And when we put on the ticket, somebody comes in with a TV and construction debris. You know, I'll put down TV and CD, or, you know, I'll just put down TV and then put down $30. Well, 20 of that could have been construction, 10 of it could have been TV. So when I go and add them up at the end, it's not necessarily exactly correct. You know, it's pretty much. And I said, after I did the recomputation, it was about 82% that we collect. I went back and I didn't even think when I did that computation, but we also have a category under bulky items where it's sofas, sleepers, mattresses, all those, and I didn't include any of that in there. So I'm sure we're collecting 85 to 90%. Is more like the number we're collecting, which it makes it a better.
You do a good job, Ms. Clay, you really do. Much appreciated. And thank you for all these years of trying to keep the costs.
You're on a good shot.
down.
Very
Sure
good
do.
job.
I'll make a motion.
All right, do I have a second?
Well, I'll read the
Yes.
motion. I make a motion that we approve solid waste disposal number 4324 in the amount of $328,608.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we have
I
Tyler.
abstain.
You're abstaining, or
Yes.
is it a no?
I'm abstaining.
All right.
Just said that.
And John, yours was a no, or?
I'm in thought, thinking still. Yeah, no, can we come back just as my, I guess it doesn't matter because everyone else already voted yes. I'm still hung up on the 1.5%.
Well, I am too. That's the only reason.
Okay, but
I would say
it
that you do a terrific job.
Yeah,
and
it doesn't matter. I'll abstain.
Okay,
Keep it simple.
we have 2 abstain, and
And it has nothing against you. The
5.
1.5, I'm just still. It's not personal.
okay. Thank you.
You bet.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Greg. Thank you very much. 'Much. 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 ' Let's look at library then.
Who's the vote on that?
That is 4550.
And you're gonna vote on it in 5 minutes.
0.
Anybody have any thoughts here?
Well,
4550.
Library.
Library.
Again, I see here salaries. I think the budget, the total and the revenue and so forth looks pretty good.
I think so.
I think it looks great, just the fact that they're only $$35 over last year's budget,
think
not
I-
accounting for salaries is great.
I appreciate the fact that they've taken a year off to do some private fundraising. I think that's excellent. I encourage them.
Do I have a motion?
I'll move, library 4550 in the amount of $204,502.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? 5 and 2 again?
2 abstain.
All right. Let's look at police department, please, number 4210. I
Is
think,
representative of the department here?
no, he presented to us last time. I didn't think it was necessary for him to come again. I think it was great that he gave his personal holiday pay back, just as a nice gesture. I think he does a wonderful job for our community. Helen?
I'd just like to point out that while his salaries are up 3.4%, which is in line with the rest of the town, his overall budget is up only 2.4%, which I think it's only up $8,896 over last year's budget, which I think is significant.
I did have one question, and maybe Carolyn can help me on this. Replacing tasers was on last year, correct? And he didn't do that because the
quote that was
contract,
given,
Okay.
they wouldn't honor.
okay, so that money went back into, okay. That was the only question I have.
We mean went back
Into the general fund.
because it was a warrant? Or just
No.
because he didn't
No,
spend
because
it?
he didn't
spend
spend
it.
We hadn't spent it this year.
Yeah, he didn't get the tasers, but he's asking for it again this year. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve budget for the police, line item 4210 in the amount of $378,768.
I'll second that. All in favor? We have Carolyn, Bob, and it looks like Steve and Tyler are out this time.
Yep.
Is it just a salary issue, or was it holiday
It
pay?
is a salary issue.
Okay, and Steve?
For me, it's salary, holiday pay, and I don't think we need dress jackets for the, I think a nice uniform is sufficient for the purposes.
Does anyone want to revisit anything that, based on what Steve said? No? Okay. So it,
Steve, you abstained or against?
his was a no,
Abstention.
Tyler's
And
was
mine's
an
a-
abstain.
I really think there should be a vote, a no vote, not an abstaining. You're voting, you don't wanna vote on the budget, I think that you should make a stand one way or the other. You vote
Yeah,
no
that's
if you don't
what we were
agree with
elected
it.
to do, just
Yeah.
yes or no.
We know
That's
it's,
fine.
Yeah,
Well, you
I'm
said
fine
no.
with
yeah.
I'll keep my vote as it is.
As an abstain. Okay, your choice. All right.
This is only by one down.
And yours was a yes this
Yeah, I
time,
just
John?
went to yes this time.
Okay,
There's
so
actually some,
so what's
police
the,
department passed. What was our count, Karen?
That would be 5 and 1 then. Tyler.
5 and 1.
Mhm.
No, 5 and 2,
Five
because
and
five,
Steve,
5-1-1.
5, 1, 1. Okay, got it. All right, building inspection is our next one. Number 4240. We've looked at this one a couple times. First time, Steve proposed a raise. That was it was decided by the Board of Selectmen. Yes.
No, I propose that it be reevaluated
Okay,
based on the job description.
okay. And it was reevaluated, and the Board of Selectmen decided not to move on a raise at this point. Is that correct, Carolyn? Am I saying that properly?
We were happy with the current salary, and any conversation would happen at time of appraisal as far as job
Okay.
duties.
Okay, and then I think it was held up last time we talked, due to the cost of living conversation, so,
Is the COLA in this number of 63?
Yes.
60,033?
it is. It is. Do I have a motion on 4240?
Before we do a
Yes.
motion, I just wanted to point out that the salary increase is 3.5%, which is just in line with the town. But his overall increase is only 1.7%, which I think shows very good fiscal management of his area.
Mhm.
Thank you for that, Helen, I appreciate you bringing that to our
Very good.
attention.
And then I will move that we approve the building inspection budget, line item 4240, in the amount of $60,013.
Second.
Steve, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Looks, yes, John?
oh, no, I thought we moved on.
No.
Okay, so a no
Yeah,
and an abstain again
Right.
from Tyler. Okay. Let's look at executive, our last one for the evening, number 4130. And again, these are all things we've looked at before, but there was something new on this one,
This
wasn't there,
one,
Carolyn?
Overtime, I think
No, I don't think we-
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think you reviewed this one. Just a couple of things that,
you got a new sheet on this, don't we?
I think it was
We
40,
did.
94.8, and it went to 95.8. I believe it was $1,000.
Yeah.
difference.
well, this is a new sheet because we had, the amount that we had approved, the selectmen approved, was 95,819. The overtime was not increased as we had approved it, so
Oh,
the
okay,
sheet had to be redone.
okay.
So, I'm sorry, what's the total amount?
95,819.
That's what was included in our packet for this week.
Right, right.
Okay, Steve, did you have something?
Yes, I did. The budget number is not the same budget number that was in the town report, in the town, that we approved at town meeting. I have 87,970.
Right. Because
So
we,
yet it shows 92,470 as in the budgetary column,
what's shown in the town report less than that?
47,970. Yes,
We moved money from, I believe, the bond payment on the fire station into the administrative secretary line to make sure that we had enough money for the end of the year.
Right.
And we decided that we would actually move the money over to reflect that. Now, it's we needed to do that because at the beginning of the year, we had a part-time secretary, we had payments, extra payments, so we needed to reinforce that number.
So this was the money that was left over from the fire station?
Yes, because we had money in our general fund that we put towards that payment. It was about $40,000, so we then had money that had been appropriated that we could use for something else.
Did you have a question, John? Did I see your hand?
No, but now I'm very concerned that the numbers aren't.
Well, I don't
matching up to last
understand the
year.
explanation.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, can you run that back?
The selectmen can move money from one line item
Yeah.
to another, and that's what we did. We moved money from the fire station bond payment to the administrative secretary line.
Those are two completely different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can do that as long as there's a line already there. You can't make up a new
We
line.
can't make a new line, but we can move money into an existing line.
You're limited, what, 10%?
I don't know.
No, that's for the
But in a
overall.
budget,
That's
it's
the total
like
budget.
actual.
That's the total
Yeah,
budget.
sorry?
But that would be if you wanted to spend actual money, you wouldn't change last year's
Yeah, that-
budget.
Right,
Yes,
that's my
we would.
point.
Yeah, we would.
Well, it's not the budget that the budget committee approved.
No, but we can move money around after.
But I understand you can move it around to spend it.
Yeah.
And you can move it around to cover overages.
I understand that, but I can't change the number that we approved. That number was approved by the budget committee. That's the number in the town report.
Yeah, agreed. The actual.
87,970 was the approved budget.
But
That's all. I'm just saying that from a reporting standpoint, the number that says, that's showing as the 2016 budget is higher than, by what, 87,990, about 5 grand, 4 or 5 grand.
I'm wondering, Steve, and I don't have the answer to this.
I mean, I don't care
What,
really, but it's just
in the
a matter
event
of.
that
consistency.
there is an overage, let's say we had a storm and it costs more to plow snow than what was budgeted for, then we'd do the same thing, correct? You'd move from one area to another to pay that, and so I was looking at if this is that kind of a situation. We had a part-time employee, I think it was at least 4,500 for that, last year. So am I wrong in thinking that, Helen?
I think it's a similar situation to the library. The library always presents us with a gross budget, and I'm pretty sure that the gross budget is what goes to town meeting. But then as soon as town meeting is over, they offset that amount by the amount of revenue that they're going to be receiving and reduce the budget in that area.
But what revenue are we receiving for
That
the executive line?
No, but I'm saying it's the same principle, that they move money into, they adjust the budget.
Bob?
I think this subject is covered in the New Hampshire municipal on budgeting. And it's covered under the, in the sense that once the budget is approved and it goes to DRA, those numbers can't change. But,
That was my point.
right,
No,
but
That's
you can
total
still,
budget,
if you
though.
have an overage in a line item,
That they spent overage, yeah,
yeah,
okay.
right? And so this is reporting the 2016 budget, okay? What they have here is well, no, you're right, it's $5,000 more, but they're reporting the accurate, what was actually
What was-
budgeted for the year. They moved money into it. So, you can't, it's an add-on. It would be precisely what you say, if we had a huge storm or something and we needed money to cover, in road repair or something like that, you move the, that doesn't change the fact that you had a different number when it was approved at town meeting, for the 16 budget. I mean,
The
that's.
important number that was approved
Is
at town
this.
meeting is the bottom line
Is
of the
the-
budget, of the
Right,
operating.
right, the gross budget.
The gross budget.
Right.
But I just feel like it's, for consistency, you should be reporting what you actually spent against the budget, not changing the budget, because then it's always gonna look like, oh, we're under budget, because we just moved stuff around. To me, that seems odd.
Well, basically, that's what they're doing here, but they've added the extra $5,000 into the 92 from the budget that was presented to town meeting.
Could that maybe
From a
be
bond to
asterisk,
salary.
Right.
explained a little bit, an asterisk that indicates that that was what was done?
Well, those are.
Just for clarity.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the implementation of the budget, in terms of the administrative, activities of the selectmen.
Right, but they should have let us know that.
I think.
Why?
yeah.
No.
Why? We have nothing to do with
The-
implementation of the budget.
No, but when it comes to us, there should have been a lot of explanation about that, because we're going from bonds to salaries to now we're raising someone's salary to.
Well, they're
And it seems
reporting the
very-
correct number to you, that they're showing for comparative purposes. It would have been lower had they reported what was approved, at town meeting. It would have been 87 something.
Yeah, 87.9.
So that would equally be misleading.
Because that
It
was
would,
what's
what would
spent.
be misleading if we made the payment out of the wrong line item?
Hmm.
Where if we were paying for something out of that bond payment,
So are bonds not warrant articles and stuff, that comes out of the regular general fund?
it's
type
in the
stuff?
operating budget
That's
after
the
it's
gross
all
number.
approved.
So tell me.
Okay, so at the end of the day, we have $8,000 that we're spending more than the budget for last year. Is that a fair statement?
Okay?
Yeah.
8,000 more? What you're looking for next year, you're talking about?
In effect, you're subsidizing the budget, would that be fair to say that because of, I'm just taking your example, which is a good one. If we had a tremendous increase in cost of salt or whatever, and you had to transfer the funds, it's subsidizing the budget, but if we look at last year's approved figures, we wouldn't know that had happened. So it might be good to put an asterisk there to say, indicated budget, emergency needs overrode this budget and by so much. And then we would have both. We would have both figures.
Yeah, we did that. That makes sense. Thank you.
Well, there is a column, there is a narrative where
Yeah.
there's been comments about the grade and stuff, so that would be an easy
Yeah,
place to
just
put
put
it.
it under
Yeah.
narrative.
Ask Diane to include that, because there are several of these budgets.
Good thought.
Okay. Oh, this one changed, so we don't have a previous, is that what happened?
What's that?
This one changed, so we don't have the previous, is that what happened? Normally we get like the 2011, 12, 13, 14, all that
Oh,
stuff.
it should have come out
Yeah, here
first
we are.
one.
Here we are.
Yeah. This is, yeah.
Two things I just want to bring to your attention
code officer?
as far as salaries.
All right.
Good. Oh, actually, yeah,
Carolyn?
let me see if we have the executive, is that what you'd like to look at? May I ask a motion here for just,
Carolyn has the floor. She has something she'd like to say.
here's what you're looking for.
Gotcha.
Sorry, Carolyn. Okay.
You actually can't tell from this with the administrative secretary line, but we did give Karen a couple of extra steps in light of the job performance that she's done over the past year. We think that she's come along, she's made great strides, and we rewarded her for that. We also added $1,000 to our overtime line, which I actually was not in favor of originally. But in light of a project that we are working on right now, which is a request for all of the emails from the selectmen and the administrative assistant and administrative secretary from March 1st, which is a
Wow.
horrendous job of getting all those emails reviewed, and then,
Where did this request come from?
it came from a resident.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what this person is looking for, it wasn't specific, but we were told that we are required to furnish this information. So right now, not only are we working on budgets and all kinds of other things,
So we have
New
to pay
IT
$1,000 overtime almost because somebody wants.
well, no, we're just,
Making
for
sure
the,
they're
I
covered.
didn't think it was necessary to add that 1,000, because most of what they can do is, they can do, in the normal work schedule. This is over and above anything that is expected of them. Having to read all these emails, and,
Well, it's probably because the salary, hourly wages, if you're under a certain amount, I think it's like 40-something thousand. It used to be 25,000. So if you're over that 25,000 now, but under, you have to pay overtime for every hour worked, over 40.
right.
Is this in relation to a claim against the town or something
Not that I
legally
know of,
so long.
not that I know
secured?
of. It's not clear why this is requested, but we have to supply the information. I don't know, I think it's a fishing expedition, but I don't know.
I just don't like the fact that, you know, I mean, we sit here and argue over $500 line items, and I was going to say no. I was gonna vote no on the overtime. Because, I mean, it is,
We might get more requests like that. I mean, this is unprecedented. So, all right.
And this,
Anyway.
this was in regards to Karen, is that? Who was this in regards to, the overtime?
For the administrative
For the
secretary
entire-
and
To
assistant,
get the work done.
for the two budgets that are in this.
Okay, so they work over 40 hours in a week?
If they have to, no, over 30. Yeah, their normal work week is 35 hours. But it was thought that maybe we might need a little more next year. We don't know. There's a lot of things happening right now that taking a lot of time. So,
Can this ever be looked at as being frivolous?
I'm sorry.
not by us, no.
Is this something well, it's not, you don't consider it's frivolous?
I do, yes, I would have to say I do. And
What does legal opinion say?
we have to supply it. And we have to go through them because we don't pass over anything that has personal information or anything legal. So they all have to be gone through. Email by email, for all of us.
That includes everyone at this table as well, I would think, anytime that we send an email to.
Was it, yeah,
Anything
Anything.
inbox or outbox.
in our emails? Yep. So,
It could be members of the community. it
From
could be-
March,
March 1st to October 17th.
Can we ask through council what the cause is? Or do we, I mean, this could be something that's foolish.
They would not know.
You
No,
can't
it's
ask for the right to know.
a right to know law request
No,
is something
it's
that
right to know,
has to
so
be
we
done.
have to do it,
It
and
has to be
I
done.
think it's a poor use of taxpayer money.
Ultimately, it will surface, but not at this point.
Do I have a
I
motion?
make a motion that we approve executive number 4130 in the amount of $95,819.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Reluctantly, I just don't want to hold the thing up, it's that $1,000.
So what's the count?
4 to,
I'm abstaining.
For one for you.
Abstaining, John, was yours a no or an
Yeah, no.
abstain?
Mine's a no.
4 to
Steve
what?
is no, and
John's a
no because of salary,
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
and abstain, I'm assuming because of salary.
Because of the increase
Okay.
requested.
And John, you were,
Yeah.
did you want to give us a reason why you voted no?
Yeah, salaries.
Pardon me?
Salaries, I guess.
Salary?
And I just don't understand half of the, why we're changing things around, and the increases.
Is there something we can help you with?
No, it goes pretty quickly, but it's just, there's a lot of increases, there's a lot of changes that things don't match up to previous, I don't know, it just seems odd to me, but.
Because if there's anything we can help, not that I'm the expert certainly, but all of us at the table could put our hats on and help you understand what. Anyway, okay. That looks like it on budgets. Next meeting date, November 15th, and that will be at 4 p.m. And then the one after that will be December 6th, and that's a 6:30 p.m. Nothing else from the table here. Do I have any public input? Yes, Guy.
Unfortunately, I was unable to make the October 4th meeting, so I'm relying on the minutes. And under correspondence, it was talked about some NHMA legal department, discussions on employee privacy, etc. And selectmen will have revised spreadsheets, etc., one thing or another. And then Selectmen's Representative Sundquist asked that any current information that Budget Committee members have be destroyed. Selectman Sundquist, why would we destroy something?
Because it has information that is not supposed to be given out to the public.
So the
And it's
information
regarding health benefits.
was given out in violation of some
Yes.
order, and now you've asked the Budget
Well,
Committee
it
members
was
to
given-
destroy the evidence.
No,
No.
I'm not asking them to destroy the evidence. You take it to an extreme. I'm asking them to destroy the fact that we have issued this and made it public. So in order to prevent further issuance to the public, we want it destroyed.
If I could just add to that, too,
Oh
Guy.
yes, please make my point even more, if you would, please.
It wasn't about anything more than having individuals' names on the pieces of paper. And I know that some of the employees, and I was upset last year when charts were put, for instance, at the general store with names and a breakdown of what they get. I asked legal counsel about that, and they said that employee privacy trumps right to know when you're dealing with medical benefits, that kind of thing. So they said no names associated with specific benefits, because an employee might, for instance, opt to take a certain something out of insurance, or opt not to take insurance that would indicate they were married or not married, and that's none of our business.
Mhm.
So that's really where that came about. So what Carolyn is asking be destroyed is anything with employee names on it.
And in the Selectmen's defense, I'm presuming they put this information out thinking that it was perfectly all right, didn't know yet. I'll go with
Of
that,
course,
by all
yes,
means.
Of course.
Which meant that it was, everyone that saw it thought it was public information.
Mhm.
And there should be, at that time was no problem disseminating that information. Is that correct?
At that time.
Is that the correct
At that
assumption?
time.
Thank you.
But now that we all know
Mhm.
the situation,
I'm with that.
okay.
And my next question is, for those members that haven't read the Thornton study, or hadn't at the last meeting, have we now read that by any chance?
Yes, we have.
Good stuff. Thank you.
Twice.
Yeah, more than twice. Every year.
Anything, anyone else on public information or public input? No? Okay.
I do have a comment, sir.
Yes,
Um,
Max.
Cost of living. Why do public employees get cost of living increases? People in the private sector don't. I appreciate Steve's concern for the people in town who are on Social Security and haven't gotten increases. What about the people who work in the private sector in town? There's no cost of living. You might get a raise if you deserve it. You might not get a raise. Why? Certainly Clay is deserving of the salary that he gets. And certainly of getting a raise. But a raise is a cost of living increase. That's why you give somebody a raise.
How about merit?
Yeah, because they deserve it. You give somebody a raise because
Have you worked in private industry? And did you ever get a review by your boss who says, we realize that, and that at the executive level, they've realized that the cost of living is increased and that their employees, to keep them and maintain them, is figured in what they are going to have for salary levels for that year? Have you ever
People
been to
give
a
out-
board meeting where this has been discussed? In private industry?
people in the private sector get raises or they don't get raises. They don't have the
It's
benefits.
included in them. What?
That's my point.
Yeah.
What you guys are talking about is basically an automatic 2% increase for every employee if they get a satisfactory job report, which they're all going to get because we have good employees. And then you're giving them an automatic cost of living on top of that. That's outrageous.
Okay, thank you, Max.
I've been in board meetings where I've said, you know what, there's no raises this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no raises, we can't do it.
Yeah, because of your
And-
profitability.
That's right. So, and you swallow the fact that the raise, the cost of living may have gone up that
But
year.
also, when we produce in private industry and we've had an exceptional year, you have either cost of living increase or it goes into your raise or you get bonuses
into
or
your
you
raise.
get,
Nobody gives an increase and a cost of living increase.
Okay, thank
That's
you very
crazy.
much. I
Thank
appreciate
you. Good
everyone's
meeting.
input. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Please,
All in favor?
yay.
I don't have any no's on that one. So let's,
I never got a raise I didn't ask for. Ever.
thank you, everyone.